This is Viterbi Voices, the podcast, your chance to hear stories about research, classes, student life, and more directly from our faculty, students, and other members of the engineering community here at the University of Southern California.
This is episode 118 and another installment in our new series, Engineering Impact, focused on engineering and social good. This episode is brought to us by Dominie and explores different community service opportunities that students choose to get involved with on campus, from STEM outreach programs to volunteering with kids in the local area.
Welcome back into Viterbi Voices. This is episode
118.
Well, oh my God, I'm so old. Again, I'm having a hard time. My name is Paul Ledesma. I'm the Director of Undergraduate Admission at the USC Viterbi School of Engineering.
And my name is Ria Chowdhury. I'm a senior studying biomedical engineering here at USC.
And I'm Dominie Miyasato. I'm a sophomore studying biomedical engineering with a minor in classical perspectives.
So you guys might notice I have a little bit of a head cold. Not a little bit. It's a horrible head cold. Like, I left early yesterday.
Oh, no.
I feel like my head is this big. And it's just like I am sneezing. I was doing interviews this morning, and I was like, just like my eyes were watering. I was like, it was horrible.
Worst
so
feeling.
I'm a little out of it. Number one, this is going to make for a great intro. But Dominie, you bring us one of your episodes. What are you bringing us today?
Yeah, so I've explored the ways in which students in Viterbi have engaged with community outreach programs, whether that be through student organizations or organizations that Viterbi kind of runs.
Fantastic. Yeah. I think this is another great addition to the Engineering Impact series, the idea that engineering students can have an impact, and in this particular case, dealing with community service. So what are some of the things that we're going to be hearing about in this episode?
Yeah, so the first one is actually personal to me because I'm part of the Society of Women Engineers Community Outreach, so we do events for anywhere from elementary to high school girls. So I interviewed my vice president who runs our committee. The second one, also a little personal to me, is the Associate Students of Biomedical Engineering. They don't do events. They do like weekly classroom visits, promoting like biomedical engineering to elementary school kids. And then the last one, which I thought was the most fascinating because I had no idea.
Because it wasn't personal to you?
Was it?
She was something brand new.
It was brand new. It was the first time I was actually interviewing someone that I didn't know, which is pretty awesome.
Oh, cool.
So I got to meet him. His name is Kendall. He is in this organization called Viterbi Adopt a School, Adopt a Teacher, which I had no idea about. But they actually go and teach teachers in local elementary schools how to implement like robotics and engineering-related activities into their curriculum. So I thought that was like a unique way to do community outreach.
Yeah, I think it's really cool. There are so many students come into USC wanting to make sure that they're doing service, whether they're continuing service that they did in their communities or just trying to do something new. Sometimes that's related to engineering, sometimes it's not. But inside the engineering school, people always ask me, what are your community service programs? I'm like, well, there are so many things. There's not like the community service program, but you just talked about a Viterbi school-wide initiative. You talked about how different student organizations, ASBME, SWE in particular, do their own versions. I know that we have other student organizations, like especially affinity groups like SHIP and NSBE. They get out there into the community. And this is in addition to our STEM outreach programs that we run already, where we're working with kids. I mean, you guys know this. We have kids here like every couple weeks.
Yeah.
They kind of take
Almost
over.
every day there's kids.
Yeah.
I mean, around USC campus, I see groups of kids every day. Viterbi, frequently as well.
Getting them excited about math and
awesome.
science. Getting them excited about possible careers in engineering. And
Going to college in general, it's wonderful,
Yeah, so there's some really cool things that are out there. So it's definitely a fantastic resource for our students to get out there and get engaged. And there's more beyond these, right? I mean,
Right.
There's so many other ones.
Yeah. It was hard to narrow down like which ones I would interview for, you know.
Yeah, and this is in addition to what's happening university-wide, right? I mean, like Friends and Neighbors Day and a lot of the other community outreach events that are happening, different fundraisers that are happening across campus that are not necessarily related to engineering. So there's a lot going on. So I'm excited to get into this episode. But before we do that, we have to talk about it. We briefly touched on it before we started recording, but got another request to find Ria in an event yesterday. We had a parent come up to me and said, we've been listening to the podcast, and she said, I know you joke about being celebrities. I'm like, no, I don't joke about it. Rhea is a celebrity. And then with the best part about it is that she skipped right over me and said, like, where's Rhea? And I'm like, well, Rhea's not here. She's
so
in class.
funny.
I said, Dominie's right there.
Yeah, and the funny thing too is, Paul's like, Dominie's right there. So I go like, hi, like very enthusiastically. And they're like, okay. Just kind of like ignored me. Okay, cool.
I don't think she was ignoring you. I just think that it was like she wanted to make sure that she told us she'd listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
And I think she probably felt a little on the spot. So I felt bad. And I'm sorry. I'm not calling them out now because I know they're listeners and I'm not going to.
But this might be the most explicit, like, because we've had situations before where you and I are, like, walking around an event or something and someone will come up to us and be like, oh, I've heard you guys on the podcast or something. But I don't think someone has gone and asked you about me when I'm not there. That's super funny.
Happens to me all the time.
Oh, okay.
No, this is like if you're listening to the podcast, this is about
incredible.
the third story that we've told in the last 3 months where someone has said, "Where's Rhea?"
Yeah.
And that's a big deal. And again, all 3 stories skipped right over me. You know, I'm not here. That's fine. That's fine. I understand who the star is. That makes sense. But it's definitely been fun. I mean, we've been getting more feedback in person about the podcast this year than ever before. And so for all of you that are listening, thank you for listening. And we love doing this, and we love that you're actually listening. It's cool to hear from you.
It's so awesome. And my research professor, we interviewed her a few months back on the sports episode.
Jill McNitt-Gray.
Yeah, Jill McNitt-Gray, one of the best people. And she came up to me the other day in lab and was like, you know what, like, my first my first undergrad researcher who worked in my lab, like, some decades ago, emailed her out of the blue and was like, hey, I heard your voice on this podcast. Also, like, life update, my kid just got into USC.
Oh!
Isn't that crazy? And it was the podcast that, like, initiated that thing because there was, like, a connection that had been lost, but then they realized that Jill was still at the university and stuff like that, so they reached out.
The podcast has brought everyone full circle. So
Dominie has a story, too.
Oh, yeah, I do have
Oh, you have
I
another
have
story?
an
Okay.
exciting story.
Yeah.
So I was in a meeting with my PI, Professor Zavaleta, who I did my first podcast ever on.
Yeah.
And she goes, Dominie, so we're getting a new PhD student to our lab, which is very exciting because being a new, like, lab, it's always exciting to get new members. And she goes, and you know how he first got interested into our lab? He listened to our podcast that we did. And not only that, he listened to it. He made his, like, parents listen to it. And they're all like, you need to join this lab.
Isn't that insane?
Which was amazing because
Like,
I
I
was
got
like,
goosebumps
I
a
always
little
feel
bit.
like
I
our
just did too.
audience
It's
is
weird.
like prospective students or like current students, but I never thought about students maybe interested in like our graduate programs, you know? So
look at that. We
I
are
thought that was awesome.
not only serving our prospective undergrads and our current students here, which are listening to it a lot, but we're recruiting PhD students, and that's not even our job. That's not even what we do.
Just a side benefit.
Just a side benefit. Throw in a couple PhDs. We'll make sure and send this over to the dean to let him know that that's what we're doing. But this is so cool. And then we've also, you know, we're interviewing finalists for the VSA position for next year, right? Because obviously, you know, we have seniors graduating. Rhea is going away. This is getting sad. It's happening quickly. And so we need to bring in new VSAs. And I would have to say, probably about 80% of our finalists inside their VSA application talked about listening to the podcast in high school. Wow. And like that was a big deal, that they have listened to the podcast, and that's what got them through, and that's what helps them understand more about this place. And we're actually going to be sending out emails to our admitted students that haven't made decisions about the podcast, actually including all the major playlists, because you know, you have a playlist related to majors, so that's going to go up to everybody today. So we're going to send those out. So, you know, hey, thank you all for listening. And if you could take a moment and, you know, rate and review us, whether you're on Apple Podcasts or whether you're on Stitcher or whether you're on Spotify or wherever you listen to Viterbi Voices, take a second, hit that rate button, write a quick review. That really helps us out. It kind of gets us out to more people, and we've been getting more and more listeners every single year, so we're really excited to do it. And this is a labor of love for us, so I appreciate it. And so in order to get out of the way, let's just hand it back over to Dominie to talk about another episode of Engineering Impact, and this one specifically related to service in the community.
Hey guys, I'm Dominie. I'm a sophomore studying biomedical engineering, and I'm involved with community outreach on campus through the Society of Women Engineers. I serve on the committee that puts on events to inspire young girls to pursue STEM fields, and have found it to be one of the most fulfilling parts of my college experience. This Viterbi Life episode is going to explore the different ways in which Viterbi students engage in community outreach programs. First, I interviewed Jennifer, who is the vice president of my community outreach committee in the Society of Women Engineers. Great. Hi.
Hi.
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself, your name, major, year, and where you're from?
Yeah, my name is Jennifer Viasis, and I'm currently a senior studying civil structural engineering, and I'm originally from Ontario, California.
All right. So you are part of the Society of Women Engineers.
Yep.
What is the Society of Women Engineers? Very briefly.
Yeah, definitely. Just in a nutshell, the Society of Women Engineers is the largest Viterbi org we have on campus that consists of over 300 members of women engineers who basically are part of this organization to kind of work on three separate pillars. One is community service, professional development, and just like social affairs. So it's this community where you basically just, partake in community outreach events, serving local K through 12 schools, through like educational mentorship and high school mentorship, as well as like college admissions mentorship. We do professional development in the form of like resume reviews. We bring in speakers to do tech talks. We have information sessions where people can, pitch themselves to recruiters for internship and full-time opportunities. And we also have social events where we get kind of different SWE members to meet each other and build that community at USC. That's really a supportive community that they'll carry with them throughout their 4 years. So we do that in the form of like a mentorship program, pairing underclassmen with upperclassmen SWE members. And through just social fun events, we do like welcome back picnics, and we do like do it yourself, like ice cream bars and just like random fun food events as well. So it's just a really awesome community of women engineers who just want to get to know one another, be support systems, and it really carries on throughout the 4 years and even beyond too.
Okay, Thank you.
Yeah.
So you are very involved with the community outreach component.
Yeah.
What is the overall mission of the work you do with that?
Yeah. So community outreach is super huge. It's a really big part of SWE. And so I got involved with it when I was a freshman, getting involved in the committee, just shadowing. But community outreach is very special to me because it's that opportunity to kind of give back and allow other college students to give back to their local communities. Everyone I meet in SWE always kind of has their really awesome, unique story of how they heard about engineering and who inspired them to become a woman engineer. And so the purpose of the community outreaches committee is to really just be that, role model, and to allow the students to have that opportunity to be role models for other students in local surrounding K through 12 schools. So we do that in the form of, a lot of service events that we do. So we work with students all the way from like kindergarten, first grade, all the way to high school seniors. We do events kind of just like Engineering is Swell, Engineering is Sweet, which is basically inviting like second through like middle school girls to come on campus on a Saturday. We invite a bunch of different Viterbi orgs like ASVME, ADT, RPL to come and do workshops for the girls, and their parents are invited to come, and it's just an opportunity for them to be exposed to, different types of engineering, and to also get them onto campus to see what it's like to be on a college campus and to show them that they do have that access, and so that they can see themselves in the future on a college campus. So we do that kind of in the fall, and we do other events serving like first through second graders, which is like fall fun fair. We do really cute like kind of workshops. We bring these first through second graders on campus and do like kind of slime workshops with them, like dry ice cream, things to just expose them to, this is science in everyday life and something to be really excited about. And then finally, we do outreach for high school students in the form of high school conference, which is actually coming up later tomorrow, actually.
So fast.
Yeah. And so with that, we bring over 100 high school girls from local areas to have them enjoy a day full of workshops, laboratory tours. We again partner with a lot of Viterbi organizations to show them different lab spaces and different engineering disciplines. We have a keynote speaker where we're inviting Professor Gregory to come speak. So it's a really great opportunity to have these girls kind of understand what engineering is kind of in a more in-depth kind of scenario. And so they have the entire day to just really experience life as a college student on campus. So it's a really awesome way that, SWE and Viterbi is able to show that, we want to impact surrounding communities and to help, local students who may not have the opportunity otherwise to see themselves on a college campus. And so that's really the mission of SWE's outreach committee, is to just inspire one girl one day at a time, through one event at a time, to see themselves, on a college campus doing engineering, and to show them that there already exists a community that can support them once they're there.
Nice. Yeah, that was everything in a nutshell. Yeah. Is there a specific experience or moment that you remember and you keep close to your heart because it was so special and it made you really feel like, wow, this is why I'm doing this?
Yeah, there are a lot of those little moments, and it's definitely, as a senior now, there's so many little moments each year that I hold near and dear to my heart, especially as I'm graduating. I think one in particular is probably just recently. There was this engineering, it's kind of the Self-Love is Sweet. It was this new event that we did this year, which basically brought, second grade girls onto campus to show them, how to love themselves and to take care of themselves, and to take care of themselves both like mentally and physically, and to, really learn how to love themselves before anything else. And so it was after we had done this rotation of events, these little girls, we were making like friendship bracelets and writing like kind of notes to, I guess, kind of like, encourage our friends to like be the best person that they can be, and to, compliment them on like how amazing they are. And these little girls just like wrote notes for me and like a few other of like our SWE members, and they just came up to us after and just gave us like really big hugs, and they were like, this is the best day ever, thank you so much for everything. And being able to just kind of share with them at the end of the day kind of every engineering discipline, and show them what civil and structural engineering is, what like aerospace engineering is, and seeing a lot of students raise their hands and already know what these engineering disciplines were. I was so surprised that these second graders like knew what aerospace engineering was, and they're like,
I didn't even know.
Yeah. They were like, oh yeah, hidden figures, and they were already saying all this stuff, and it was just amazing to me to see, kind of the progress that we've had. Just from when I was a second grader, I had no idea what engineering was, and now to see more and more of the girls that are coming to campus, they already know a lot of this information, and it's really exciting to see, and just, to see their excitement and how, just grateful they are is just like so humbling. And it's such an amazing experience to just be able to, for a few hours, let these girls just come and be in an environment where they are 100%, just challenged and supported to go beyond the status quo and to think and dream of whatever they want, and to see them so excited and say, I really want to come back here, and I want to go to school here, and I want to be an engineer just like you, is really, it makes every single thing about community outreach in SWE just so important and so worthwhile.
So just to be clear, you are not just volunteering, you have a specific role in the outreach committee. Can you talk about like what that entails?
Yeah, definitely. So this year I served as the Vice President of Community Outreach for SWE, so I'm part of the executive board. And so basically what that entails is I manage a committee of 5 other members who I selected at the beginning of the year to kind of plan all these events that I talked about before. So I obviously don't do it all. I really have the best committee, and they, plan, all of these events. I kind of assign them to my committee members based on their preferences and like what they are interested in doing. And I provide that support for them to kind of work on logistics, getting schools to come out, coordinating with teachers, getting permission slips, waivers, and, doing all the funding kind of behind the scenes. And so I really kind of manage all my committee members to make sure that they're planning the events. If they have any questions, I can answer those. And if anything, if they need more volunteers or something like that, I'm kind of there. But it's really an opportunity for me, especially as a senior, to kind of encourage, my committee members to get more involved in SWE and future leadership in SWE. So I really, don't, I owe it all to my committee members because they really do a lot of the legwork. And so I'm really just kind of there to make sure, logistically it all works out. But being a VP, I think, is especially rewarding to see my committee members, feel so special and feel so, just humbled when their event goes really well and they have a successful event. It's just amazing for me to see kind of future SWE leaders, getting that experience now. So yeah, being VP is, a lot of responsibility, but honestly, probably one of the most humbling experiences I've had, being able to not only serve, the SWE community through that leadership role, but also the kind of the greater like K through 12 communities in the USC area. So I've entirely loved it. And it was a perfect way for me to, really end my senior year and end my time in SWE, kind of serving in that role.
Yeah, I can tell you are so passionate about this, and that's super awesome. Yeah. And just for not just your committee, but if general SWE members or other women in Viterbi want to volunteer through SWE, how do they go about doing that?
Yeah. So we're always looking for more volunteers. These events are really huge, and so we're always looking for any help. The best way for like general members or just even like non-SWE members to get involved is to really just check out our like newsletter that we send out each week. We hold general meetings kind of like once a month, and so that's where we go over the upcoming community outreach events and kind of where to sign up. We post, all over Facebook. We definitely spam everyone saying, hey, here's a volunteer sheet, come sign up. So, just by signing up on a Google Sheet or emailing me directly, my email link is always posted on our SWE newsletter. We're always looking for anyone who's just interested in serving and to being a part of these outreach events. Obviously, we have our SWE Officer Council Committee, but we're just here to provide opportunities for the rest of the Viterbi community. So we definitely want to get as many general members as possible. And especially incoming freshmen, incoming students, we want them to get involved right off the bat. It's something that I got involved in a few weeks into my freshman year, and has really shaped my college experience, just volunteering at a first few events. I remember actually meeting you at like a first event that you just randomly volunteered for.
As a freshman.
As a freshman. Yeah, you weren't even on OC yet. And, those general members or those just those students who come volunteer, they get that experience, and at least for my personal experience, super rewarding. It makes me want to come back. So definitely always looking for volunteers, and so there's always a way to kind of reach out to anyone on executive board, officer council, or just checking out our newsletter or our Facebook event. You can definitely sign up, and we'd love to have you.
Okay, well thank you, Jennifer.
Yeah, of course.
Next, I interviewed Lani, who is involved with Project in a Box, the community outreach component of the Associate Students of Biomedical Engineering. In contrast to the Society of Women Engineers' larger community outreach events, the Project in a Box initiative centers on weekly visits to local elementary classrooms.
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself, a name, year, major, and where you're from?
Hi, my name is Lani Stein. My major is biomedical engineering with an emphasis in mechanical engineering and a minor in computer programming. I'm a sophomore, and I'm from a suburb right outside Chicago.
Okay, thank you. So you are part of the Associate Students of Biomedical Engineering, and you're involved with their community outreach component. Could you talk a little bit about that and what you do?
Yeah, so through ASBME, I'm involved in the community outreach group, which is called Project in a Box. And so basically we're a committee whose goal is to stimulate students, elementary school, middle, and even sometimes high school students, and stimulate their interests in biomedical engineering and teach them what we do. And so our main project that we do is we go into local elementary school classrooms every few weeks, and we do a prosthetic hand project. And so it's about an hour lesson, and we introduce what biomedical engineering is and what we learn at USC, and then we have them split up into groups of students, usually about 8 students with one of us, and we kind of guide them through how biomedical engineers think. So we give them a patient profile, and we give them materials, and we tell them, okay, this patient needs a prosthetic arm. She lost her arm, and here are things she likes, here's what she wants to do, and we give them the task of designing a prosthetic arm that meets the patient's needs. And so through this, we teach them about collaboration, design thinking, personalized medicine, and what biomedical engineers do.
So how does your work in this community outreach part of your organization fit in with the overall mission?
Yeah, so
of the organization.
So the overall mission of ASBME is to kind of be a hub for biomedical engineers on campus to get involved in any way they want. So whether that be through professional or academic or social events or community outreach, we provide it all for them. And so students who are interested in venturing out into their local community and teaching local students about biomedical engineering have the opportunity to join this committee called Project in a Box.
And why did you initially join the committee?
Yeah, I joined initially because I have always, been passionate about influencing kids in our local community and also learning from them. They get so interested in our projects and they're so inspired, and it just helps them realize what opportunities they have in the future, something that I didn't have when I was a kid. And so it's really great to see their interest in their learning about engineering at such a young age.
Okay, and are you planning on continuing this next year?
Yeah, so actually next year I will be ASBME's community chair, which means that I will be in charge of the Project in a Box committee, and so my responsibilities will include gathering our committee, planning our lessons and our classroom visits, and just, coordinating everything and working with the local schools to get classroom visits.
Well, congratulations on that position. Are there any new ideas you're thinking about implementing?
Yeah, so currently we just started building a new lesson plan, and so our new lesson plan is about DNA, and so we're going to be teaching students about DNA and about genetic mutations and how biomedical engineers fit into that. And so our new lesson actually involves them building their own DNA and building their own monster based on, different DNA traits. And so we're teaching them how DNA makes each person unique and what it does.
So just to be clear, your community outreach is mainly weekly classroom visits. Do you do any larger events?
Yeah, so another thing that we do in Project in a Box is we collaborate with other student organizations such as SWE, where we will volunteer at their events, and we go into classrooms and do BME spotlights where we kind of teach students what we do. So other than classroom visits, we do events on campus and other events off campus too, to kind of just, have our impact and really just teach people what BMEs do.
Okay, well, thank you, Lani. Is there any advice you have for listeners who want to get involved with community outreach or get involved with ASBME and how they can go about doing that?
Yeah, so getting involved in community outreach for anyone really, it's just a great way to, give back to the community and to spend your time with making a positive impact. And if you want to get involved with Project in a Box specifically, you can go to our website, asbmeusc.com, and click on the Project in a Box tab, and there will be a little email button, and you can email our current community chair and, let us know. Maybe next year I'll get to work with you.
Okay, well, thank you, Lani.
Thank
It's really
you.
nice talking to you.
Finally, I interviewed Kendall, who works in the Viterbi Adopt a School, Adopt a Teacher organization. He helps teachers at local elementary schools implement robotics and engineering-related activities into their curriculum.
Can you go ahead and introduce yourself, name, year, major? Yeah.
All right, I'm Kendall Work. I'm a freshman currently studying mechanical engineering, and I'm from St. Louis, Missouri.
So what community outreach are you involved in on campus?
So the main community outreach that I'm involved in is for the organization I work for. It's called VAST, which stands for Viterbi Adopt a School, Adopt a Teacher. And the whole point of VAST is for students to go in and help teachers teach robotics to their K-12 kids. Specifically, I'm part of our program called BOTS, which stands for Building Opportunities with Teachers in School. So I just mainly work on the curriculum that we teach the teachers in our professional development workshops, and then sometimes go into the classroom to assist them and teach the kids.
So is this a weekly classroom visit?
So I typically don't visit the classroom. I visit the classroom maybe once every month, and then once or twice every month I'll be meeting with the teachers for professional development workshops where we kind of go over the curriculum that we have. give them resources that they can use. Most of our curriculum right now is based off of two things. The first is code.org, which is a website designed to teach coding to K through 12 kids. And then the other is Sphero Robotics, which are like these small little Sphero robots that you can program, and it's a good way to teach like coding and then at the same time introduce them to robotics in a simple fashion.
Okay, that's so cool. And your role, do you work with other students or professors? Like how?
Yeah, so the organization's run by our director. Her name's Katie Mills. And then under the director, we have a few project managers, and then about 2 or 3 undergrad working in the office, and then a few master's students. So it's not a huge office, but we do a lot of work with our small team.
So I didn't even know about this organization before, you told me about it. How did you find out about this?
Yeah, so I actually had a friend in NSBE plug me to the job.
NSBE?
National Society of Black Engineers, yeah.
Okay.
So I got the job through them, which was cool. It was like very early on in freshman year, so it's nice to like find a job that I was interested in.
What do you find most rewarding about your work? Or is there specific moments that you can point out that you're like, this is why I do this?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think what makes it most rewarding for me is being able to see how well the kids understand the material so fast. I don't do a lot of the teaching myself because teachers can teach better than I can. But when I go into the classrooms and help out the students, it's just so awesome to see these young kids that are in 1st and 2nd grade learning robotics very early on. And it's especially cool to see because most of them are Latino and African American kids. So they're not usually being prompted as like people that are going to be the ones to go into STEM fields and be the next engineers and whatnot. So it's really cool to see that at such a young age, them being encouraged to go into these STEM fields and go into these industries where minorities aren't as prevalent.
Right. Do you think it's beneficial for students to have this engineering like exposure so early in their, in their education? Because I didn't. Did you have something like that in elementary school?
Yeah, I didn't really get interested in robotics until I was in high school, which is, I guess, kind of late considering that I work with like K through like really young kids, 1st and 2nd grade. But I think the earliest that you can get exposed to it, the better, because it's just equipping them to be better able to handle the challenges, and it's just progressing at a very, very fast rate. So being able to keep up with the expectations of academia, it's definitely important to start at a young age.
Yeah, I totally agree. And if other people want to get involved with this organization, is there a way to do that?
Yeah, so we actually have a lot of volunteering opportunities. We try to reach out to as many engineering orgs as we can to recruit people to go with us to schools when we need a few people to help teach the kids. So if anyone is involved in that, definitely look up VAST and specifically our BOTS program.
All right. Well, thank you, Kendall.
Thank you.
Jennifer, Lani, and Kendall all shared a passion for integrating into the community surrounding USC and encouraging young students to make the most of their intelligence and talent. Viterbi has a variety of ways for engineering students to be involved with community outreach projects and make an impact on the future generation of engineers. Thank you for listening. Be sure to subscribe, and as always, fight on.